sea for a getaway. Car top down and we're driving just to feel young. Moving away to the sea. Moving away, can't you see? Sand in your feet, feel the breeze in the summertime. Stars in the sky, one dying for a first time. Moving away to the sea. Moving away, can't you see? We'll drink honey by the ocean, it's our favorite potion. Come on baby, let me tell you one time that our days will never end, yeah. No, our days will never end, yeah. No. Come on baby, let me tell you one time that our fire got a love it till you never break apart. And we're moving away to the sea. Moving away, can't you see? There won't be one more time, so we gonna do this tonight. There won't be one more time, so we gonna do this tonight. There won't be one more time, so we gonna do this tonight. There won't be one more time, so we gonna do this tonight.
Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I will share tips on how to become a mage overpower in the early game, mid-game and end-game. First, we will discuss what weapons are the best for mages in the early game and end-game. For the early game, I highly recommend you to get the meteorite staff because this is very useful and the status is very good. And I will tell you how to find the staff. This is your first respawn location. The location of the staff meteorite is here. And for end-game staff, I highly recommend using Azur's Glintstone staff, because he has a fast cast compared to the other staff, so I think this is a very good staff for the endgame. Because for mage, cast is very important for PvP. For endgame armor, I highly recommend using Lasat's Glintstone crown as well as the dress. You can find this armor after you successfully fight the magic boss, and after that there will be a quest to find these items. These are really great items for endgames and especially for PvP. For the early game and mid-game, I highly recommend using Olivinus Glintstone Crown because this is very good for the early game. And for the mid-game, I highly recommend using the Queen's Crescent Crown. You can get Queen's Crescent Crown after fighting magic boss Renala. For clothes in the early game, you just use the clothes you get when choosing a character mage. And for the mid-game, I highly recommend using the Knight Armor Search. You can get these clothes at the location of Renala's magic boss, you can even get them before you fight the boss. For gloves and boots. In the endgame I use Preceptor's gloves because in my opinion this is better than other gloves. But for mid-game, you can use Noble's gloves as well as boots. For talisman, I use Erdtree's Favor, because this can maximize your HP and stamina, and this is very useful for mages. Because you need to know, mages also need stamina to dodge or to use skills. Next I use Radagon Icon. This is really very useful. This can help you to speed up your attacks when you use skills. As we know it, mage is very dependent on skill, and the key to winning matches against players or against bosses is casting. So this is very useful to use. Next is the search for Filigreed Crest. When using mage, mana or FP is very useful and we depend on it. When using skills, we need a lot of FP, and these items can help you to reduce the amount of FP spent when using skills. So this is a mandatory item that must be used to become an overpower mage. The last one is Stargazer Heirloom. I think this is very useful to increase your intelligence. Because the greater the intelligence, the more painful the damage that comes out. So if you want to become an overpowered mage, then you need to maximize your intelligence, and these items are very helpful. Because these items give 5 points to your intelligence. And I give another option, Radagon Surseal is very good for you to use, because it can maximize the attributes you use but has the risk that the damage given to us by the opponent will be even greater, and it is very dangerous for mages. And for physics mix, I like the Crimson Crystal Tear and the Cerulean Crystal Tear because these items are very useful when we run out of potions. So we can use these items just in case, because mages are very dependent on FP potions. And when we fight the boss, we usually use a lot of skills and make our potions run out. This is an alternative that can be used for our potions. For status. For the early game to the end game, there are 3 statuses that you must raise. The first is Vigor. Make your Vigor above 40, because if your Vigor is above 40 then your HP is getting thicker so you don't die easily. I know mages depend on FP, but HP is also very important. If we have sick damage but our HP is low, then when the boss hits us, we will die immediately. Need to know, in the Elden Ring, the damage given by the boss even though we are at a large level is very painful, so HP is very important. Next is mind. Make your mind above 60 because the mind is very important. Because if we have a little mind, then our FP is a little. We can only use a few skills. If our FP is low, then use a potion, and it's very dangerous. Because when we drink potions, we need a long time to drink it and the boss will immediately hit us. Then mind is very important. As I said before, fighting bosses requires a lot of skill and requires a lot of FP. So to become an overpowered mage, the mind is very necessary and mandatory for us to increase above 60. The last one is intelligence. Make your intelligence above 70. Because there are several legendary skills that require intelligence above 70. And intelligence is very useful to increase the damage that we issue. The greater our intelligence, the more painful the damage we issue. For those of you who are still in the early game, my advice is first you raise your intelligence first, then after that balance it by increasing your mind and vigor gradually. When you are in the mid-game, you need to increase your intelligence, because in the mid-game, you will get a lot of mage skills that require intelligence above 40 points. So intelligence is very important. And most importantly, summon ashes. This is very useful to help you fight the boss, because the mage is very difficult to fight alone against the boss. You need a friend to help you. And summon ashes is a very good choice. For early games, I highly recommend using Ashes Wolf because it is very easy to get after you fight the first boss. Or you can use Jellyfish. For mid-game you can use Samurai, or you can use Summon Tanks because this is very useful to help you. And the last and the most important thing is Mim and Tear. Because these ashes can imitate you and can issue the same skills as you. And what you need to know, the amount of HP and damage given to each ashes depends on you. If you upgrade the ashes, then the HP and damage will hurt more than before. Thanks for watching this video.